Before we get to the story, let's look at what is actually happening beneath the surface here. Sarah is the only woman in the Bible whose age at death, 127, is explicitly recorded, highlighting her importance as the matriarch of the faith. She dies in Kiriath Arba, Hebron. Despite God promising Abraham the entire land of Canaan, up to this point, Abraham doesn't actually own a single square foot of it. He is legally a sojourner, a resident alien with no legal right to bury his dead permanently. The dialogue between Abraham and the Hittites is a classic example of ancient Middle Eastern bargaining. When Ephron offers the land for free, he doesn't really mean it. It's a cultural protocol of extreme politeness. If Abraham had accepted the land as a gift, he wouldn't have owned the title, and his descendants could have been forced out later. Abraham insists on paying full price to secure a permanent, legal foothold in the Promised Land. 400 shekels of silver was a huge amount of money. Later in the Bible, David buys a threshing floor and oxen for 50 shekels, and Jeremiah buys a field for 17. Ephron likely inflated the price, but Abraham paid it without hesitation to avoid any future dispute. All right, grab a coffee. We need to talk about Genesis 23. If you've been following the story of Abraham and Sarah, you know they've been through everything together. They left their home, crossed deserts, survived famine, fought kings, and waited decades for a child. They were the ultimate power couple of the Bible. But this chapter is different. This is where the story turns deeply personal and heartbreaking. Sarah is 127 years old when she dies in Hebron, which was then called Kiriath Arba. Abraham is about 137. He has seen victories, miracles, and promises fulfilled, but losing Sarah hits him in a completely different way. The Bible says he mourned and wept for her, and you can imagine this was not just a polite cry. This was the deep, painful grief of losing the partner he had shared over a century of life with. But even in his grief, Abraham faces a serious problem. He doesn't own any land. He is wealthy, yes, but he lives in tents. He is a nomad. And in the ancient world, if you don't own land, you don't have a permanent place to bury your family. So Abraham stands up from beside Sarah's body and goes to the city gate to speak with the Hittites. What follows is a high-stakes business negotiation wrapped in extreme politeness. Abraham tells them, "I am a foreigner among you. Please sell me a piece of property so I can bury my wife." The Hittites respond with great respect. They say, "You are a mighty prince of God among us. Take the best tomb you want. None of us will refuse you." It sounds generous, but Abraham understands the situation. If he simply borrows a tomb or accepts it as a gift, the land will never truly belong to him. In the future, someone could claim it back. He needs legal ownership. He needs a deed. So he bows respectfully and says, "If you truly want to help me, speak to Ephron. He owns the cave of Machpelah at the end of his field. Tell him I want to buy it and I will pay full price." Ephron, who is already sitting among them, responds, and the bargaining ritual begins. He says, "My lord, no, I will not sell it. I give it to you, the field and the cave. It's yours. Take it for free." But this is part of the cultural dance. He is not really giving it away. He expects Abraham to insist on paying so he can name a high price without seeming greedy. Abraham understands the custom. He bows again and says, "Please, I must pay for the field. Take my money so I can bury my dead." Then Ephron casually names the price, 400 shekels of silver. He says it as if it is nothing between friends. But it is a huge amount. It is an obvious overcharge. Most people would have negotiated. Abraham does not. He wants the land secured with no argument and no future dispute. The Bible says he immediately weighs out the silver according to the merchant's standard, 400 shekels. The deal is done. The text then reads almost like a legal contract. It lists everything included in the purchase, the field, the cave, and even all the trees within the boundaries of the field. For the first time, Abraham owns a piece of the Promised Land. Not a city, not a farm, a burial site. He buries Sarah there in the cave of Machpelah. On the surface, it is a sad story about a funeral. But beneath that, it is a story about faith. God promised Abraham the entire land, yet Abraham dies owning only this small plot. But by buying it, he plants a flag. He shows that he believes God's promise so strongly that he buries his wife there, trusting that his descendants will one day inherit the land. It is a down payment on a promise he will not live to see fulfilled. And thousands of years later, people are still talking about it. Sometimes faith is not about receiving the whole mountain at once. Sometimes it is about securing one small place in a difficult season and trusting God with the rest.